All right. Well, we're on holding by Pirke Avos, ethics for our fathers. Okay, when we're going holding by Pirke Avos, ethics for our fathers. We're in chapter Mishna 15, part 30. That's where we're holding. We'll see how far it goes. Again, we're on holding by Pirke Avos, ethics for our fathers, chapter 2, Mishna 15. This is part 30, and we're speaking about the last part of the Mishnah that that the Mishnah says, warm yourself by the fire of the sages, but beware, flesh should be burned by its embers, for their bite is the bite of a fox, their sting is sting of a scorpion, hiss of a serpent, all the words like fiery coals. So in speaking about the fact that it needs to be respect for rabbis, no question. Right, no question about that, regardless of what level necessarily their rabbinic ordination is, because at the same time, they pass requisite exams. Definitely should be respected, but some people obviously know more than others, more advanced than others. Okay, as long as they're not heretics, they definitely deserve to be respected, right? I don't think there's any I don't think there's any question. I don't think there's any question about that. So here now we mentioned last week that there are rabbis speak very strong, but they back up what they say, with sources. And again, mention one thing, and you got to be careful with, and that is, sometimes they'll bring their sources, and say, well, this is halacha, this is what you're supposed to do, when really there's a difference of opinion. Right? They're saying this is the way you should do it. Okay. Right? That doesn't mean there aren't any other opinions out there. And even if there's a minority opinion, right? Normally we go according to the majority, right? Exodus chapter 25, verse 2, you go according to the majority. Right? Certainly, for good, but again, this question comes up a lot, and in certain cases, how do I know? How would a person know what to do if they have there's a difference of opinion among rabbinic authorities, right? So simple answer is, if you have a rabbi that you go to, that you respect, that you ask questions to, they'll tell you. Either you hold like this, you hold like that, or whatever they've accepted, right? So to speak. Nonetheless, sometimes, sometimes people will say, well, this is the law, this is the way it is, and they're just bringing one side of the argument, right? Now, could be they're right. I'm not necessarily saying not that way. I'm just saying sometimes, people have, their agendas, and they're going to say, this is the opinion, right? This is the opinion. You have to follow. Now, case in point, we brought up with all women wearing wigs, and there are many Ashkenazic rabbis that will say a woman is allowed to cover her hair with a wig, even though people will say the wig looks better than her human hair, right? True, right? Very true. As long as it's modest, as long as it's not too long and it's modest, that shouldn't be, that should be a problem. Now, there are many Sephardic rabbis, not all, that would say, since it looks like human hair, it's better than her hair, then a woman should cover her hair with, let's say, a kerchief, I don't know, some sort of hat, or let's say beret, or or let's say with a scarf, let's say better, right? Let's say with a scarf or something like that, instead of a wig. Now, again, not all Sephardic rabbinic authorities hold that a wig, is forbidden. Again, even if we're going to permit it, according to Ashkenaz or Sephardic tradition, even if you're going to permit it, it has to be, can't be too long. It's got to be modest. But there is an issue today, and has been an issue for a while, right? And that you don't necessarily get around the issue according to Ashkenazic or Sephardic tradition. And that is the problem if hair comes from India. If hair comes from India, then the assumption we have today is that it's used for idolatry, right? If it's used for idolatry, then you can't wear it. Doesn't matter according to any tradition, right? You can't wear it because it's idolatry. Now, that problem seems to be still a problem, right? That problem hasn't necessarily been, fixed up. There are people that are reliable that you could rely on. That here's not coming from, that part of the world, not coming from India. It's coming from Europe or other places. But again, you have to have reliable sources. Now, some may, again, that problem is a problem for everybody, right? That's a problem. Now, if anyone's going to tell you nobody holds women can wear wigs, that's just not true, right? 100%, it's not true. The great rabbis of the last generation, through the Ashkenazic world and Sephardic world, that held a woman can wear a wig, right? As long as it's modest. Rabbi being one of them, Rabbi Yeshua being one of them, Rosh Hashanah Auerbach being one of them, right? Many Torah giants, have said that. There are others again, that've come out against it, right? A lot of them in the Sephardic world, right, have come out against them, and says that since it was like human hair, it's a problem, okay. But again, not everybody in the Sephardic world holds that. So even if they don't hold that, even some of them do hold that, or a lot of them hold that, okay. So if you're Sephardic, you won't wear a wig. Very good. Yeah, but that doesn't mean nobody holds you can wear a wig. Doesn't mean that, right? I've heard people, seem to, insinuate that that's the case. That is not the case, right? So they have an agenda. They don't want women wearing wigs because of this problem. Okay, but again, even without that, there's a general problem. There's a general problem with hair coming from India. That's a general problem. That's, according to everybody, it's a problem, right? But again, some people say, well, this is a luck and that's it. No one holds differently. It's not true. You have to know what the source is, what the issue is, etc. Now, in certain cases, that might be true, right? It might be true everyone agrees or whatever. Maybe it's a minority opinion. We don't hold like, okay, right? No one's arguing that. But to say nobody holds such a thing, that's a lie, right? That is 100% a lie. So they may have valid sources, okay. They may have very valid sources, but you have to know where the source comes from. And you have to know across the board what they're saying is necessarily true. Because they may speak very strong, right? They may say, this is the absolute halacha and this and that. It's not true, right? Someone will say, nobody holds such a thing. It's not true. It's not true, right? If you're going to say, okay, I have an agenda, and I want to make sure women do not wear wigs because it's, because we hold it's a problem, forget about the problem with India, that's an agenda. Okay. But to say nobody holds such a thing, to say that no, every Ashkenazic rabbi in the world who holds women can't wear wigs, that's not true. That is not true. Someone said to me, my Rabbi became was on the basin of the Eidah Haredis, probably the most powerful rabbinical court in Jerusalem, probably in the world. Said, his wife and his kids probably, his daughters probably don't wear wigs. Yeah, well, it wasn't true. It wasn't true. Yeah, I said, yeah, it's a good point, but it's not true. I said, I know his daughters. They wear wigs. I'm not saying all the time. Wear plenty of scarves also. If it wouldn't be a problem, let's say, with wigs coming from India, yeah, so I hear that's a different issue. That's not the issue we're talking about. We're talking about the issue, is it permitted? So if it's modest, not too long, it's permitted. And to say nobody holds such a thing, that's not true. Right? That 100% is not true. So, again, Judaism is all about asking questions. People can be passionate about the topics, in different things, but they have to know who they're asking also. And I mentioned this before, this cannot be underestimated. There are very few people that have world-class knowledge in everything. Very few. You have people that have, let's say, expertise in, I don't know, kashrus, right? Laws of kashrus. Or, the laws of Shabbos. Or both. Or maybe, there are people who have expertise in the laws of damage. Very good. Right? It's very rare to find somebody who's got expertise in everything. Right? And, I mentioned before, I'm going to say it again. Depending on the person's knowledge, someone who's involved in Jewish outreach does not make them the greatest rabbi in the world. Doesn't mean they have the greatest knowledge in the world. I'm not saying they have no knowledge. I'm not saying that. I met people with very little knowledge also out there. Right? I'm not saying that. There are people who have knowledge. You have to know where knowledge comes from. right? They have to know. Now, some people I would say are more reliable than others. But if they're in outreach, that does not mean they're rabbinic authority when it comes to other things. Just doesn't. Right? Would I trust some of these people, in the laws of Shabbos if it was something complex? Probably not. Right? Why not? Because I don't think they have the knowledge. I don't think they have the working knowledge. They may have working knowledge of other things. Okay. They may have heard other great rabbis say certain things. Very good. I don't have an issue with that. Right? They wouldn't be my first call where to go. They just wouldn't. Right? They have knowledge of whatever they have knowledge of. Right? But again, this has been burned in me for years. My Rebbe's beaten, into me. You just learn everything. You just go through as much, as you can. Doesn't mean you're a world expert in any of these things. Right? Doesn't mean that, but you have working knowledge. Some people say things, okay, they hear things, this, that, whatever. Right? But a person has to know where the information comes from. And someone who's out doing Jewish outreach doesn't mean they have world-class knowledge. I'm not saying they don't have knowledge. I'm not saying they can't answer questions. I'm just saying, there are people out there who don't have world-class knowledge. They don't. Right? They just don't. So you have to take it for where it comes from. Now, if it's something, can I eat this? Can't I eat this? Question blessings, other things. Okay. You have to know if you can rely on them or not for that. So you probably could. For most people, they have certain working knowledge. Okay. I don't have an issue with that. I'm saying if it's something much more complex, I wouldn't go to them for such an answer unless they went to someone else, or unless they went to a higher authority. Because I don't believe they have that world-class knowledge. Right? Now, they might. Okay. If they do, very good. Right? I don't have an issue with that. I don't think a lot of people do. A lot of people I've seen in outreach, I see they don't. Right? That's a problem. Doesn't mean their knowledge should be respected. I'm saying that. Their knowledge should be respectful. You got to be respectful. Right? I mentioned this before. Someone asked me questions. Every time I ask the question, person would say, yeah, but another rabbi holds like this, or someone else holds like that. Okay, so why are you asking? Right? This is a fundamental principle. This is an explicit Gemara. You can't ask one rabbi a question. You don't like the answer, go to someone else. Can't do that. That 100% is forbidden. If they made a mistake, an egregious mistake, very good, then I can go for a second opinion. And for sure I can go for a second opinion. Because first opinion is wrong. Okay? Doesn't mean people are perfect over here. Right? Doesn't mean that. But at the same time, like I said, I just refused taking this person's questions anymore. Because all they did was hammer me. But this rabbi says like this, or someone else says like that. So why are you asking? A lot of what comes out of my mouth comes from the top rabbinic authority in the world. People who want to disagree with him, well, disagree with him. Okay. He's the top rabbinic authority in the world. You got a problem with it? You got a problem with it. I can't help you. Right? I can't help you with that. Right? But that's where most of the things, not almost everything, that comes out of my mouth is going to be from him. Stringencies, leniencies, this and that. Will there be other people disagree? Sure. They'll disagree. Okay. Yeah, but if you follow somebody, that's it. Right? You take the leniencies with the stringencies. I remember, I'll give an example on this. Right? Here in Israel, there's a big saying about voting. Right? About voting in the general election. Voting in general election. Yeah. So the issue is most rabbinic authorities say you have to vote. You have no choice. Why do you have no choice? You have no choice because if you didn't vote, and we'd have political parties in this, that'd be worse. It'd be a lot worse for the outer Orthodox in Israel. Everyone, again, everyone would agree with that. Problem is, you have to sit with these people. There's a lot of things going on under their nose that they won't bring down the government for, like desecration of Shabbos, for whatever reason, right? We're not going to go into. We're not going to get necessarily into politics, but everyone would say it's better to be in the opposition than to sit with these people because if they're doing things wrong underneath their nose, you're guilty by association. Very good, right? So we would say better not to vote. Let everyone else wants to vote, let them vote. Okay, and it could be. You're right. There might be a lot worse if we didn't vote. Okay, but it doesn't hold that. Pirke Avos didn't hold that. Other great rabbis didn't hold that. But the majority say you have to vote. Right? Very good. So I told somebody I didn't have the merit to vote years ago, many years ago. So I told someone it's very on a small rabbinic authority, right? Let's say. Not a small rabbinic authority. And I said, this person was quoting all these different rabbis who say you got to go vote. I said, very good. I said, I have one rabbi I listen to for everything. Leniencies, stringencies. I said, whatever he tells me to do, that's what I do. So I said, let me ask you a question. These other great rabbis that you quoted, you hold by everything they say? Do you hold by every last thing that they say or not? That was my question. That was the end of the conversation. They said, okay, good point. I said, I don't pick and choose. You want to pick and choose your whole according to these rabbis because of this? Okay. They're the majority. I don't disagree. They are, in fact, 100% the majority. Good. They're the majority. My rabbi said you don't go out and vote. That's what he said. Now, a lot of people disagree with him. Okay. So you say, how come you don't go according to the majority? Because he's my personal rabbi. He told me what to do. Regardless of what the majority says over here. Yeah. So that you can do. Yeah. Someone's got big enough shoulders for that, and he's got big enough shoulders for that. But again, you don't go shopping around here. That's not what you do. If someone can answer all your questions, should be whistling Dixie. Should be ecstatic. They can answer all your questions across the board. It's very rare to find someone who can do that. Yeah, but I told this great rabbi, I said, listen, I said, if you were to tell me you hold according to what these other great rabbis say and everything they say, which you don't, which is pretty clear. Yeah. I said, okay. So then I don't have any complaints. But if you're going to pick and choose and you're going to hold like this one in this case and that one in that case and different things, it's your choice. I said, I don't pick and choose. I take the leniencies and the stringencies, whatever he tells me. Whatever he tells me. Right, point in case. I don't remember by my oldest son, it was 15 years ago, that, by boy, when he puts on tefillin, there's a whole question when he puts on tefillin for the first time. Some say it's a month before, right? Some say it could be just a day before or on the same day, just to, practice putting on tefillin or whatever. Some have said it's even up to 3 months before. Now, I thought I remembered he said 2 months, right? Well, I'm saying my memory's the greatest. But I thought that's what he said. I wasn't sure. So I saw on Chol Moed on Passover. So, as people was going through, I told my son I'll ask him the question. So I asked him. I said, is it 1 month or 2 months? I said, how many months is it? He told me 1 month. That's it. Okay. Right? But it's coming up. The month was coming up. So you take, if he would have told me a day before, which I wasn't expecting to say that, or if he would have told me 2 months before, that's what I was really expecting, right? But I didn't remember. So good. So you asked, right? But that's it. You don't go shopping around. Oh, but someone else said it like this. And someone else said it like that. Okay, but I didn't ask them. I didn't ask them. You can't rabbi shop here unless they make a serious mistake. If they make, and this happens all the time. Oh, but I heard this, I heard that. Okay, if it's a clarification. Again, asking questions is a good thing. I don't have a problem with that. No problem, people want to ask questions. Yeah, clarification. Yeah, if someone says, oh, but you said it like this, you said it like that, why didn't you say it like this? Okay, that's a good question. Right? That's a good question. Why it should be like this, not like that? Okay. Very good. But if a person's going to say, listen, this person said that, someone else said that, I didn't ask them. I didn't ask 10 people the question. I know what the issues are for most things, right? What the leniencies are, what the stringencies are, why we hold like certain things, why we don't, right? There was something I had Yortzeit, my anniversary, my father passing away was Thursday night, Friday. So I had to, I had to lead services Friday afternoon, so I had to find a place where no one else had to say Kaddish or whatever to learn the mourner's prayer to say it. So before, when you, by Shacharis and Mincha, by the morning and afternoon service, so when you repeat the Shemona Esrei, that's the only time you repeat silent meditations, Shemona Esrei, whatever you want to call it, you repeat it by the morning and the afternoon. Now there's a statement that you make. Some people say it out loud. Some people say it really under their breath. They don't say it out loud so other people can hear. It's called the words are Hashem Tiftach. What do you call it? Hashem Spy Tiftach. Right? We say that God should open my mouth. Hashem whatever it is. Right? Right? Whatever. I shouldn't say whatever it is. It should really quote the real thing. Yeah, the Shem spy, Tiftach fi Gitu Asecho. Right? That God should open my mouth, right, according to the words, etc. Now the question is that should that be said aloud? Right? Should that really be said aloud? Is it considered an interruption? Right? Or not? So there's no question. Right? There's no question over here that has to be said. The only question is it said out loud? Right? So seemingly in the Code of Jewish Law, or Moshe Isserus, the Ramah, as he's known, says you say it silently. You shouldn't say it out loud. Right? Someone pointed out to me, very good. Yeah. In this place they didn't say it out loud. Okay. But according to Spartan, they do say it out loud. According to others, they do say it out loud. Now, Rabbi holds in his synagogue, for sure, they say it out loud. They for sure say it out loud. So today I said, okay, I had some time, so I looked it up. Right? So I looked it up. He's got a whole response. So why it should be said out loud. And why, at the end, Ratzon should be said also out loud. Not everyone does it, right? But anyway, he brings down why it should be, why the beginning should be said out loud, the first thing and the last thing should be said out loud also. Yeah. So again, it's a difference of opinion among rabbinic authorities. Very good. Very good. Now, if you're in a place, the custom is not like that, so you do like that place, right? I didn't realize that was the custom there. Okay. Fine. Right? But in general, that's what he holds. Now, does everyone agree? No, it's a different agreement of opinion. Okay. It's a disagreement. Very good. Yeah, in his place, that's what he does. He says it out loud. Okay. So if there's a difference of opinion, you're going to say, why'd you go according to his opinion, not opinion? So he's got a whole thing. Right? I'm not going to go into it. He's got this whole thing. Why holds it has to be said. And why at the end it has to be said. Right? That's what he holds. Now, are there other opinions disagree? Yeah. So it depends who you hold like. Over here. So, in such a case, it's not just you can do what you want, you can pick and choose. If you have a question, you have to know how to go. If you'll ask your rabbi in this question, what do I do in this case? Or what do I do in that case? I'll tell you. Either you're going to go stringent, you're not. This is halacha, this is the mainstream thing. This is what everybody does. If there's no clear-cut halacha, it's a different issue. Right? For example, when does a person take on the mourning customs on Sfiras Omer? Right? Counting the Omer. Some people take it on right after Passover is over. Yeah, other people take on, the mourning customs. You don't get married, don't listen to music. You don't get a haircut, all these things from Rosh Chodesh Iyar, which is a few weeks later. Yeah, and then the 33rd day, right? Lag BaOmer, 33rd day, people have the custom get married, have haircuts or whatever. Some people stop the mourning customs at that point, and then till the end don't have any mourning customs. Others hold that day you can get haircuts and get married and other things, but from that time till Shavuos, right, to the next 17 days, you got an obligation to hold like you did before, right? There are different customs. Now, if you don't have a custom, right, let's say a person converts or a person's about tshuva, they come back to Judaism, you don't have a custom because your parents never had a custom, right? So what do? You can choose. I remember asking this question many years ago. There's custom like this, custom like that, custom like the other thing. What's the mainstream custom? The answer is there isn't. If you have a custom from family or whatever, it's one thing. If you don't have a custom, so you can choose either way. 100%, you can choose. You can choose either way. So there are certain things like that. There's no clear cut thing, right? Maybe it depends on the place. Also, right? Another example, by Hanukkah, Shabbos Hanukkah. Yeah. So Shabbos goes out. You pray the evening service, very good. So now what do? Do you do Havdalah first? Right? You make a distinction between Shabbos and every day, or do you light the Hanukkah candles first because of Pirsum Menisa? Because you want, since Shabbos comes out, you want to make sure people are still out, so you light the candles first, so people see it for the greatness of the miracle, right? You want to, you want to show the great miracle, so Hanukkah candles will come first. So there's a whole discussion on the early commentaries, later commentaries, right? It's according to the Chofetz Chaim and the Mishna Berurah. He says, market this way. Some have this custom, some have that custom. Now, what's the difference? I'll just go through this for a second. What's the difference? If you make Havdalah first or not. So there's a general rule, Tadir Vein or Tadir Kodim. That which is more common, you do first. Right? If you have something that's more common, something that's not more common, right? Tadir Ve'enu Tadir, right? Eno Tadir means it's not as common. Then you do what's common first. Right? What's common? What's more common over here? Havdalah. Why is Havdalah more common? You do it every week. Havdalah comes out every week, every Saturday night. You make Havdalah. Good. Yeah, others would say, even though that's true, but what about the sake that you want to light the candles the earliest time, so more people see it for the greatness of the miracle? You want to show the miracle even greater. So they would say, forget Havdalah. You go back and do Havdalah afterwards. You light the candles first, but since you already prayed the evening service, you already would have said, I'm not ben kodesh l'chol. You already said, I'm distinguishing between Shabbos and every day. So even if I don't make Havdalah, I can light candles now. I can do anything now. I just haven't made Havdalah yet. Okay. That's not an issue. Could do that. Right? So what's greater? That's the question. What's greater over here? The fact that you want to reveal the miracle greater, i.e. light the Hanukkah candles first, or you do what's commonly done first. And what's commonly done first is Havdalah. Yeah? So you'll say, so it comes along the Chofetz Chaim. Because the Chofetz Chaim is the Mishna Berurah and the Bir Halach, and he says, market easily. Some have the custom like this, some have the custom like that. Very good. Right? So it's all clear cut. Each one has their own very strong arguments. So what do? What would you do? So you go according to, whatever custom you want. Right? What sounds better? You have to think, what would sound better? What would make more sense in a certain way? I would say you make Havdalah first, because that comes out every day. Right? You pray as early as you can. You say Havdalah first, and then you go do the candles. Right? Is that the mainstream custom? Depends where you come from. There are many different customs. If it's something that's all clear cut, again, then you'd have to ask somebody, okay, which way should I go? Should I do this? Should I do that? I had all kinds of questions when I was in Avelis. My father died 12 months. I had a lot of questions. A lot of questions go like this, go like that. In the laws of mourning, basically, whatever you do, you probably have someone to rely on. A lot of different customs for a lot of different things, right? So, anytime something came up, I asked my Rabbi the question, do I have an obligation in this? Can I do like that? Like one example was, can I go on vacation? They said, well, your family's not in Avelis. They're not in mourning. Said if they need it, then you could go. Again, you don't want to, overdo it, different things, because you're still in mourning, but questions like that. Or I remember I was at a bar mitzvah of somebody. They had music in the background. They're not allowed to listen to music if you're in mourning, right? So it wasn't like get up and sing and dance music. It was whatever, like I would call elevator music, or dentist music. Like if you're about to get drilled by the dentist, had this like nice music in the background. So I told somebody, I said, all right, I gotta leave. You don't really go to, festive occasions because again, you're in mourning. But if you're there, you say Mazel Tov, you stay a little bit and you leave. Okay, right? Some will say it's okay under certain circumstances. Wedding's more of a problem because then you get the music right after all the blessings, right after the whole thing with the ceremony, and all that. Okay, but if someone really close to you, okay, you can't stay, but at least you can stay, you can show up and say Mazel Tov, whatever, someone, close friend or whatever, or close relative, whatever it may be. In any case, person said, come on, it's not really music. Right? It's elevator music. Dentist music, as I would call it. Very good. Yeah. So I said, I said, I'm leaving. I said, but I'll humor you. I said, I'll go ask my Rabbi the question. I said, I'll go in tomorrow. I said, when I go in, I'm going to ask him. I'm going to ask him what he holds. Yeah, I'll see what he holds. And what happened? So I went in. Now, I told this friend of mine, I guarantee this is what's going to happen. I'm going to walk in, tell him the story, and he's going to say, it was music, right? You heard instruments, right? Doesn't matter if it didn't get you up to dance. It's music, right? If it's music, it's forbidden to be there. I said, that's what he's going to tell me, but I'll humor you. So I went into him, and I said, I got the Shai on the Velas, this question about, mourning over here. So I told him the story. I said, a bar mitzvah, and this music came on. I said, it wasn't strong music. It was like, background music, this and that. I said it was, soft music, whatever. I'm not going to get anyone to sing and dance. Yeah, I said, at that point, was it forbidden for me to be there? And what was his answer? Exactly what I said. His answer was it music? Did it sound like music? There were instruments? I said, yeah. He said, then you have to leave. He said, what'd you do? I said, I left. I said, it was music. I said, I just wanted to verify. I said, yeah, it's music, forbidden, can't be there. That's it. You ask the question. Again, I'll say like this. Sometimes you ask the question, could be a hard question, and the answer sometimes is hard to hear. A number of times he told me certain things that, as I mentioned many, many times, I did not come out smelling like a rose, just the opposite. But he said, this is what you got to do. The repercussions this way, that he said, doesn't matter. You have no choice. This is what you have to do. You're stuck, right? Essentially, certain things. He said, can't do anything. You're stuck. Yeah. This is what you got to do. So that's what I did. So to this day, people, I can't even mention his name by certain people. They'll level, say all this Lashon Hara against, he's this and he's that, and you never should have listened to him, blah, blah. Right? So I would never mention his name, by certain people. Okay. They don't like what he had to say. Very good. Yeah, doesn't mean it was wrong. Doesn't mean it was wrong. Sometimes, there's just no way out of things. Sometimes it's just there's nothing to do. The only question is, like in my case, the only question is how much damage you're going to do. Damage control, right? I've seen it once, twice, 100 times, right? I shouldn't have to go through these things more, but it happens, and there's just no way around it, right? There's, you try and, it's like stepping on eggshells. You want to try and honor parents and give them honors and different things. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes with certain things, yeah, even though they may deserve it 100%, there's some things you can't do, right? There are things that, someone does a great Shabbos in public. That's a problem. That is the problem. They've established like a non-Jew, there's certain honors you can't give them. You do what you can, but remember one thing, the Torah's not a pretzel. The Torah's not silly pudding. I can't just do whatever I want when I want. Sometimes there's reality. And the reality doesn't change. So no matter how much pressure they put on you, reality doesn't change. Listen, if you can find a leniency, you can rely on it, different things, even though you wouldn't necessarily rely on it, but for the sake of family peace, you could do it. You should probably do it, if possible. If it's impossible, what do you do? And there's nothing to do, except the question is how much you're going to get screamed at. That's the question. No one likes to get screamed at, but that's it. My Rabbi would say, you don't like it, you go eat kugel. Right? You don't like it, okay. That's the way it is. But I deserve this. It's not a question what you deserve or not. There's a reality. You desecrate Shabbos in public. What do you want from me? You have the status of a goy. What do you want from me? You don't believe in, you don't believe you have to keep Shabbos like that. You don't believe. Okay, there's a reality though. We hold there's a reality. It's not a personal thing, right? Not a personal thing. If I could give you the honor, give you the honor. What's I have no problem doing that. You honor as much as possible. You do whatever you can, but if you can't, what in the world are you going to do if you can't do it? If it's forbidden to do, what do you do? So in certain situations, people didn't realize what was going on, right? And I was able to save the situation and nothing happened. It was good. It worked out, but sometimes it doesn't. Right? Sometimes the only question is how hard you're going to get slammed. That's it. Or how much you're going to get made fun of. Oh, I can't believe you believe this. I can't believe, this rabbi told you to do this. That's totally wrong. And that. The question, again, you listen to the right person, no matter what happens, you don't go wrong. You please as many people as you can. If you can't, you can't. There's nothing to do. No matter what people say say to you, no matter what they can think what they want. But would you rather look bad in God's eyes or in the eyes of men? I think you'd rather look bad in the eyes of men. Let them think whatever they want. Let them think, oh, Torah's this and Torah's limiting, and what's the matter? You can't go to the bathroom without asking your rabbi. It's like, no, he'll let me go if I have to. People come up with crazy things because they don't like what they hear. So my Rabbi would say, I've heard him say it many times, that if you're a rabbi of a synagogue, they're not trying to drive you out of town. You're not doing your job right. Right? Which means you don't say what they need. You don't say what they want to hear. You say what they need to hear. Right? And sometimes when you say what they need to hear, people don't want to hear it. It's strong, but they need to hear the truth. Can't be wishy-washy. You can't be a sycophant. You can't suck up, so to speak, and turn Jewish law into a pretzel. Now, again, a person's rabbi of a synagogue, and you got a board of directors, and they're paying your salary and different things. So, you do have to be careful to a certain extent. But, you can't do things that are wrong. There's a famous story at the Chofetz Chaim, right? So there are a lot of questions here. I'll deal with them. There's a famous story at the Chofetz Chaim that he needed some, decree or whatever was made, against the Jews. And there was a secular Jew who he felt could help him. So he was going to write him a letter or send him a telegram or whatever it was, and ask for help. But, he wanted to, embellish him, wanted to, give him a little bit of honor, build him up, so to speak, butter him up, let's say, in order to get what he needed. But anytime he wrote something, he kept erasing it. He's like, I can't say this. You can't. There's a Torah prohibition. Brown knows it. It's called Hanifa. Right. In other words, if you give someone accolades and they don't deserve them. Right. In other words, you're buttering them up for something. That's lying. That is totally lying. Right. That you're not allowed to do. Right. You're not allowed to suck up to them to get what you want and give them all these accolades. So what did the Chofetz Chaim do? Chofetz Chaim kept trying to think of things he could write about, try and butter him up a little bit. He said, no, I can't say that. No, I can't say that. Finally, he realized anything he's going to say is going to be over prohibition of buttering him up. Because it's going to be over prohibition of buttering up, he said, okay, I'm not going to write the letter. It's too hard. It's impossible. He had no way out. So he said, okay. So he said, I'm just going to stick to prayer. Stick to, that'll be my ishtadlus. That'll be putting my best foot forward. I'll stick to that. And hopefully the Eibusher will, God will hear my prayers and, take care of it. That's putting my best foot forward. But here I couldn't figure out any accolades. Because any accolade would have been forbidden. But this person could have helped you. That would have been the greatest ishtadlus, right? The greatest putting your best foot forward. Very good. But you lied in the process. Well, wouldn't that make sense? If you need to get what you can't do that. You certainly can't do that. Now, we spoke before about, giving a king a bribe. That you're allowed to do, right? That's a different issue because that's one of the things that Yaakov did to Esau. He saw 400 men coming, he tried to bribe him because he knows Esau can be bribed, right? That's one of the things. That's a different issue. That's not sucking up to him. right? That's giving him a bribe. Now, when he split up his camp and the camp bowed down to him, they got serious problems. They got seriously punished for that. For bowing down to an evil person. That's a different issue, right? That's a different issue. When you go to war, Rashi over there says the three things you do, right? The first thing is try and bribe the person. Second thing is prayer. Third thing is if you have no choice, you go to war. You go to war if you have to, right? But that's the last choice, right? So I'll just tell the story. It's a good story. Then I'll take questions. And that is, there was a certain decree made against the Jews. And the Chofetz Chaim sent one of his students to the king. And he told him, here, take a lot of money, ton of money, go to the king and put it in front of him, basically bribe him in order to get this decree taken care of. And the student was afraid. He goes, just do it. Just do it. I'll take care of it. Goes into the king, gives him, puts all this money down. He says, there's a decree made against Jewish people. I want you to rescind this decree. And he puts all his money in front of him. King looks down, starts screaming at this guy. He's like, what do you think? You can bribe me? Get out of here. I could kill you. Whatever. And he flees, gets out within an inch of his life. Goes back to Chofetz Chaim, says, I'm not going. I'm not going back. This is what happened. Chofetz Chaim said, I told you, give him a lot of money. You have to give him a lot of money. You give him a lot of money, you rescind the decree. So he goes back. King says, oh, you again? He says, I want you to, rescind this decree against the Jews. The king said, why should I do that? And he puts down, the bag, double the size, triple the size of the money he was going to give before. King looks down, looks at him. He's like, you think I can be bribed? You really think I can be bribed? He's like, I don't want to see your face again. I see your face again, I'm going to kill you. Get out of here, whatever. Runs away. Comes back to Chofetz Chaim, basically in tears. He says, Rabbi, that's it, I'm done. I can't go back. Chofetz Chaim said, you didn't bribe him enough. I told you, give him a ton of money. You didn't give him enough. If you give him enough, he'll rescind the decree. Finally, he takes like 4 or 5 times the amount of that money, goes back and barely lifts this thing, goes back in front of the king. And the king's like, oh, you again? I could have you killed. He said, I want this decree rescinded. You take this decree against the Jewish people, you get rid of it. And then he takes this huge sack, almost breaks the table. And he puts it down in front of the king. Now, the king looks at him, looks at the money, looks at him, looks at the money. Time's going by, this guy's like sweating. Finally, the king says, okay, here, I'm going to write out a royal decree, going to rescind the decree. Here you go. Thank you very much. And he took the money and went on his way, comes back to Chofetz Chaim. The student of Chofetz Chaim comes back and he says, Rabbi, how'd you know? He said, when you told me twice it didn't go, he said, I knew you didn't give him enough money. Because this is exactly what Yaakov did to Esav, right? And if Esav can be bribed, Edom, which is the Western world, he can also be bribed. But he said, I saw you didn't give enough money. You didn't give it, you didn't honor him enough. Honor can do that. That's a different issue, right? You're not lying to him. You're bribing him. Esav can be bribed. Very good. So you do what you can, right? But if I saw that you didn't give him enough money, that means you didn't give enough. You need to bribe him more. Esav can be bribed. Very good. Brown nosing, though. Hanif, as we would call it. Yeah, that can't do. Right? That's lying. Right? That's giving someone accolades they don't deserve. Right? That is a serious that's a serious problem. Yeah, let me take some questions here. 1 second. Does that mean she'd have to shave her head, which isn't lawful? Now, if she had to cover her hair, there are some Hasidic sects that women shave their head. Now, again, who's the hair for? Really, for husbands, right? Now, if she has to cover her hair, most communities, except for some certain Hasidic communities, women cover their hair. They don't shave. Even if they shave their head, let's say, even if they would shave their head, yeah, they're still going to cover it. They still have to cover their hair, right? So even if they would shave their heads, they still have to cover it, right? Whether with a wig or scarf or whatever. So I know somebody that, many years ago, and I mean not Hasidic by any stretch. I would say more modern Orthodox, but this woman, shaved her head. I don't know exactly shaved everything off, but this person claimed it made it easier to put on a wig. When she had to put on a wig, so she shaved her hair down. Okay, is there any obligation to? So in some Hasidic communities they have a custom. They have a custom that women shave their head. In most other communities, no. According to Ashkenazi tradition, it's part of tradition, right? The obligation when you're married is to cover the hair. And the hair is only supposed to be for the husband, not for anybody else to see. Right? Now, if that's the case, why would you have to shave it? I mean, you could say, well, maybe it makes it disgusting because, women like their hair and different things, right? But we don't look at it that way. Right? But again, it's not the norm. It's not the norm to have her head shaved. Definitely not. There are a few communities like that. Okay. That's not the majority, not even close. Right? It doesn't mean she'd have to shave her head. But the whole point, the hair, when she gets married, has to be covered. That's the whole point. Doesn't mean it has to be shaved. And even if it would be shaved, it still has to be covered. Right? That doesn't get you out of the problem. Even if she looks like Kojak. Yeah. If she's totally bald, yeah, so to speak, doesn't mean she doesn't have to cover her hair. She still has to cover it. Even if there's no hair there. Doesn't matter. Right? Or there's little hair there, there's stubble there, whatever. Still has to be covered. Right? Seemingly still has to be covered. However you cover it, doesn't matter. Right? Whether you cover it with the scarf or whether you cover it with a wig. Right? If again, according to most Ashkenazic and some Sephardic rabbis, right? Someone here mentions only a few communities do that. That is true. Or is it lawful to shave her? Why is it, again, if she believes in it, if she's part of that community, why is it not lawful? What would be the problem? Yeah, in that community, that's what they do. That's the community standard. Now, could you say, I don't want to do it, I want to be part of that community? She can do that. So they're forcing her. It's not lawful. An Ashkenazic woman who doesn't shave her head, that's total prohibition, rabbinic prohibition. It's not prohibition at all. She has to cover her hair. That's a different issue. Right? But who says she has to shave it? Right? Didn't cap the women take cap? That's a different issue. That is a totally different issue. Book of Deuteronomy talks about, a person went out to war, took this non-Jewish woman, wanted to be with her. Yeah, he had to shave her head, make her nails grow out and all that, or go back to her father's house. Why? That was all deterrent, so he shouldn't be with her. That was according to his evil inclination. Wanted to take this woman while I was in war. Okay, she had to look disgusting in his eyes. And if he still wanted to take her, okay. So the Torah allowed him to do it. Whole question why, I'm not going to go into, right? It's a whole other thing, right? But that's a totally different issue. That's not because he was just marrying her and this and that. It's a totally different issue. That was against evil inclination. And the whole purpose was to make her really ugly in his eyes so he wouldn't be with her. So he wouldn't give in to his evil inclination. But that has nothing to do with this. That has absolutely zero to do with this. Someone here mentions disagreement will always continue. Yeah, but why did disagreement come in? Right, let's ask the question. Why did disagreement come in? The simple answer is because further you go back away from Mount Sinai, the more things aren't remembered. People are not on the same level. Right? People definitely not on the same level. And it became disagreements. Didn't start out that way per se. But the lower levels we are, the easier it is, to understand that there would be disagreements, right? And certain things have been lost. So not sure what to do in different cases, right? But that's only because of weakness in us, right? If we be holding at the level we should be, in general, there wouldn't be disagreements. There shouldn't be disagreements. It should be clear. But that's not the case. Why isn't that not the case? Because we're not holding where we should be. That's the reason. That's the main reason. Right? But since we have, a lot of disagreements, time of the Mishna, time of the Gemara, early commentators, later commentators, right? That's the way it's going to be till the Messiah comes. It wasn't supposed to be that way, per se. But why did it happen? Because again, we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. If we'd be doing what we're supposed to be doing, there wouldn't be such great disagreements. We all agree. Wouldn't be such an issue. Right? Right? That's the reason. That's essentially the reason. Someone said I was told that I had to do before conversion. I have no idea what that means. What, they had to shave your head before conversion? Yeah, whoever told you that? Yeah, I can't answer for them. Right? There are certain things. If a woman had, let's say, braided hair or something like that, and water can't get through the whole thing. Okay, so you have to untie them. Doesn't mean you have to shave them. Doesn't mean you have to shave your head. Not by any stretch. Right? As long as there's no barriers between the body and the water, right? A person can have knots in their hair, let's say. Hey, you gotta take the knots out of your hair before you go to the mikveh. Very good. Right? Doesn't mean you have to shave it. Let's say you can't get the knots out. Okay, so cut off that piece of the hair. Okay. And if your entire hair is knotted, which I can't imagine, then you have to cut it all up, and it's not going to be the case. What do you do if someone's got all these braids? If the water can get through it, then you won't have a problem. If not, you got to take out the braids. You got to undo the braids. Yeah, you don't have to shave it though. Who says you have to shave it? Right? Whoever said you have to shave it's wrong. Right? If in fact that's what they said. Right? That could also be a deterrent. Someone telling you that. Someone saying, "Oh yeah, you want to convert? You go to the mikveh, you have to shave your head." It's a good deterrent. Why would I have to shave my head if you have to go to the mikvahs? No such law says such a thing, right? Could be they're just trying to deter you, but no one brings it down. No one says that a woman has to shave her head, when she goes to the mikvah before she goes to the mikvah. It's unheard of. Unheard of in any community. Yeah, let me see other questions here. 1 second. So yeah, I'm going to stay on topic here for a second. So you can give money, but not fake compliments. Again, what's the issue here? The issue is the Torah says you can't take a bribe. Who's that going on? It's going on a rabbinic court judge. That the reason you can't take a bribe if you're a rabbinic court judge because you're gonna be biased, right? Someone gave you money, someone bribed you to get whatever they want, so you're gonna be biased. If someone helped you with something, they come in front of you, and you can't look at them, in the same way, meaning you're gonna feel obligated to them, then you can't judge the case. Right? Talking about a rabbinic court judge. Now, giving a bribe, what's the problem with giving a bribe? Giving accolades, which is false, that's a problem. That for sure is a problem. Giving money to bribe somebody, why should that be a problem? We're not allowed to take bribes, right? Really, that's going to a rabbinical court judge. But a Jew in general is not allowed to take a bribe. Why? Now, what about giving a bribe? Could you give a bribe? In Egypt, some other countries, that's how things work. Mexico, I don't think it's too much different, right? You have certain problems, you bribe people. That's what you do. Not a question of going to jail. That's how it works. That's how the system works. Bribe people, right? Isn't that what goes on in Congress? It's all about bribe, right? It's all about you do this for me, I'll do that for you. Yeah, it's the bribes essentially, right? So giving a bribe to Esav, that's not a problem. Saying that Esav is great, I could really use this. You're such a great person. You would do this, you would do that, do the other thing. That's more of a problem. Giving money to bribe someone without saying anything, it's not an issue. As long as you don't get caught and nothing bad happens, right? That wouldn't be an issue. Bribing them with words, different issue, right? It's a different prohibition, right? So giving fake compliments, yeah, that's a problem. That's called chanifa, right? That is a problem. That for sure is a problem. Taking bribes for sure is a problem. But giving a bribe, giving money, to get what you want, shouldn't be a problem. You see by the Chofetz Chaim, it's not a problem. Esav can be bribed. A lot of Arab countries, that's how things get done, through bribes. Not just Arab countries, other countries. Yeah. So giving bribes, they'll take bribes. It's not a problem. Right? Unfortunately, that's how you get things done. In a lot of places. Can they choose not to shave? Yeah. Can these women, if they're part of that community, If they want to be part of that community, and that's the custom, I don't know if they have much of a choice. I don't know if they have much of a choice in such a case. You know, they know that's what they're getting into. That's the custom. How can they go against it? Maybe you tell them they thought they could do it, then they don't want to do it. Yeah, that could be a problem. That could be a problem. But if you're part of a certain community, that's the standard. That's what you have to do. That's part of the standard. Right? Can you be part of that community and not do it? I don't know. I'm not part of that community, so I can't say. But I would say it would probably make problems. Probably make problems if they don't uphold that standard. I would think they're making problems. Yeah, somebody here says this agreement comes many times when trying to get to the truth. Again, but where did this agreement come from? That was the question. Up until 2,500 years ago, there weren't disagreements. They didn't have disagreements. So where did disagreements come from? Right? It came from a lack of understanding. It came from a weakness in character at some level. That's where it came from. Right? You'll say, well, disagreements will come anyway. It should not have. That's the point. Disagreements shouldn't have come. If they were on the level they should have been, it shouldn't have happened. Never should have happened. Right? So yeah, on the main things, we would agree. And I would say 95% of most things. In Jewish law, I would say Ashkenazim and Sephardic people and Hasidic people don't disagree. They have different customs with this, different customs with that. Okay, but most things they agree. Most things they don't have an issue with. Yeah. Someone asked, what's the name of the man who required the woman shave her head to prevent his evil inclination? I don't know. It's a good question. Will we pay these government not force the Orthodox men to go to war? Who's going to pay for that? So there are great rabbis in America. Israel just went to America to raise $100 million to make up for the, what the Israeli government's taking away. So I would say, my opinion is that's better. Why rely on the Israeli government? Forget giving them a merit to support yeshivas, this and that. Why give them the merit? Raise the money if you have to. It's better. It'll be a lot harder work. True. Definitely be a lot harder work. Wasn't that better than giving them a say in anything? It'd definitely be better. But there is an initiative to raise that money. Right? These great rabbis went, last week, set up all these meetings, try and raise $100 million. Right? Seemingly that, that's the goal. I would say, I would say that I think that's still a better way because they're not relying on anyone else. And they can say, well, you don't do this. You don't go to the army, we're not giving you money. Right? That's what they're saying, essentially. Right? Without getting into politics, that's what they're saying. But it's not going to be everybody. They don't want everybody. They don't want everybody. Make no mistake. Let's make it clear. Without getting into politics. Let's make it very clear. Their goal 100% in taking ultra-Orthodox Jews, even if they say they need the numbers, is to make them secular Jews. That's their goal. 100% that's their goal. So why should we give them anyway? That's their goal. If someone's not learning so well, this and that, okay. Yeah, but they'll come out cracked. More cracked than they already are. And if they're going in the right path and doing the right things, you're setting up for disaster. An absolute disaster. Right? But again, government doesn't want them anyway. They want them to be like them. They want them to be secular. That's the whole point of drafting. Even though say, come on, you need more people, this and that. Even if it's true. But what's their end goal? Their end goal is not to make strong fighters, this, that. That's not their end goal. They'll say, we need them, and this terrorist threats and all that. Very good. Even if they would need them, but what's their end goal? Their end goal is to make them secular. That's their end goal. Across the board, that's their end goal. Nothing to talk about. So that's an issue. Right? That 100% is an issue. Right? But they're going to pay a serious price. right? They're going to say, okay, you're not going to do this. We need more people, more firepower, this, that. You're not going to do this. You're not going to come willingly, whatever, however many we say that we need or whatever. Then we're going to withhold money. It's not going to work out very well for them. That if they have a merit, the Chazon Ish of Avram Messiah Karowitz of blessed memory said many times, one of the Torah giants, the last generation, started the whole community in Bnei Brak, said many times, if they have ability to help and they don't, then this country has no key. This country will never stay. This country won't exist essentially until after the Messiah comes. Either we'll get overthrown, or we'll be thrown out, even by the seculars. To let the Arabs come in and take over, right? Whatever it may be, won't be here. If they have an ability to help and they don't, they cause other problems. This country is in serious trouble. That's their whole benefit. The whole benefit, they're helping the Torah world. They're helping the Torah world produce righteous people. Rabbis, the next generation. They have a merit in that. They take away that merit. They try and force us, in different things. This whole country's in danger. The whole country's in danger. Yeah. Could be flushed totally down the toilet, God forbid. Could happen. Could happen. But again, I would say, I would say my own personal opinion, I don't think too many people are going to disagree with this, and that is what they're doing is terrible, and they're making life much harder on the heads of yeshivas and other schools and whatever. True. I think that's better. Balamea Baladea. If you have 100, right? Person who has 100 has what to say. Right? Does anyone care if anyone doesn't have any money, what they have to say? Who cares? What they care about are the people, the movers and shakers that have tons of money. They'll listen to their opinion, even if it doesn't make sense. We should take seriously someone's making $20-30 million a year, playing, shooting a basketball, whatever, and still believes that the world is flat. If anyone else would have said that, they would have slaughtered this person like no tomorrow. They're going to flatten him like a pancake. They did flatten him like a pancake. Okay. Why should anyone even listen to such a thing? Because he's got money. Who cares? And these actors got plenty of money. I care. Care what they have to say. Someone, whatever, famous, I don't know, producer, actor, whatever, talks about, he's Jewish, to boot, and to say all kinds of negative things against Judaism. I'm like, what do I care what he has to say? You can't even read the Aleph base. I have a field day with them. I said, hey, here's the prayer book. Tell me what it says. Read the words. Show me what the words say. Oh, you can read a little bit of Hebrew? Good. That's very impressive. Yeah, you can read a little bit of Hebrew. Now tell me what the words mean. A little bit. Because the person's ignoramus. Right? Big time ignoramus. Capital I. Person knows from his elbow when it comes to Torah. I really care what he says. Oh, come on. You think God spoke to Moses? You think he really spoke? You think you got to do all these things and shoo away the mother bird? You think that makes sense? You think doesn't know anything. Knows absolutely zero. I should take what he says seriously. I'm not gonna take what he says seriously. Someone asked a question that general question. What's my favorite mitzvah? Good question. Favorite mitzvah? So I'd say it's a toss-up between either Sukkot or Purim. It's probably one of my favorites. Favorite biblical character? David HaMelech. Why would I say David HaMelech? If you read the book of Psalms, and you see all the trouble that David had, that King David himself had, and all he does is praise God, and he says, I'm not worthy, but I know you're going to take care of my needs anyway. You're the one in charge. You're the one calling the shots. He went through hell and back. He went through hell and back. He didn't have one restful day in his life. Yeah, but he wrote the book of Tehillim. And he wrote the book of Psalms. Came as great as he was because of everything he went through. And he persevered. And he stayed strong. And his faith stayed strong. So that I have ultimate respect for. Someone to emulate. Because you read the book of Psalms, you don't see anywhere he complains. with everything he goes through. We think we have it bad in different ways. Read the book of Psalms. Simple explanation. Forget Kabbalah or anything else. Simple explanation. I'll put Avraham up there also with all the trials he went through. Brought absolute monotheism to the world. Yeah. He suffered unbelievably. We made fun of him, different things. We went through all these different tests. Gave us the ability to go through tests. So anyone's been tested, you have great respect for them. Because they gave us that ability to fight against all these negative things. But to still have your belief intact, your emunah intact, it's huge. Never complains. Always says, God, you're going to take care of my needs, even if I don't deserve it. Just let me dwell in your palace forever, this, that. Never complains. Son's trying to overthrow him. Saul tries to kill him. His father-in-law tries to kill him, this, that. He's got no rest, ever. Running from place to place. All he wants to do is serve God. That's all he wants to do. Yeah, it's unbelievable strength. Unbelievable strength. Inspirational. Never loses hope. Even if he says he doesn't deserve it, he knows God's going to take care of his needs, whether he deserves it or not. So that's what I would answer to that. Somebody here says Mexico, it's rampant. Yeah, bribes. You want to get anywhere, you bribe people. That's how it is. A lot of Mexicans are poor. You want to get things done? You can bribe people. Now, someone here says in the States also, it could be. Right? Depends for what. It depends for what. But again, certainly government's that way. No question. Are there judges on the take? Probably. Right? A lot of people can be bribed. I'm not even talking about people in dire straits. They don't have to be necessarily in dire straits and totally poor. People can be bribed. Yeah, again, other places rampant. That's the way society works. You want to get things done, bureaucracy, you bribe people. Happens in the States also. Or things like, I don't know, building contracts, something like that. Yeah, and you have to go through all this bureaucracy to get it. You find someone who's really in charge, that really can put this thing forward. Bribe them. I'm not saying you should. I'm saying that could go a long way. Give them a kickback. Oh, then they find your paperwork. Things go a lot quicker because you just padded their pocket. Makes sense. Yeah. I don't think America's that different. I don't think it's as rampant, as Mexico, some other places. But yeah, sure can happen. It absolutely can happen. Just be careful because if you get caught, it could definitely be, a federal offense. But at the end of the day, you want things done. That's what happens. I mean, that's what politics are all about. Greasing someone else's hand and giving them something, getting something back. That's the way it works. Filibusters are other things. That's the way it works. Now, can it work on a smaller scale? Sure. You hit the people you need to hit to get what you want, to get what you need. That's the way it works. Sometimes. You don't necessarily have to do it all the time, but, I can definitely see it happening. No question. No question. Especially there's a lot of bureaucracy. Someone here mentions from an early upbringing, we're taught not to be violent. Okay. But chance that way to be stronger. Yeah. Listen, you also have to learn how to defend yourself as well, for sure. Possible. Better not to be violent, but, maybe sometimes you have no choice. Defending yourself, not being violent. Right? That's definitely not being violent. But I would say that, Jews in general, we're not violent. It's kind of ironic to talk about, we're doing, to commit genocide and this and that. It's like, it's absolutely insane. They have such opportunities, these Arabs. to work in Israel, you give them livelihood, different things. All they want to do is knife you in the back. If you brought in people from bordering country, to help build up the country and do this and that, you give them jobs, this and then all they want to do is steal and knife you and whatever. Why'd you be there? Yeah, that's being cruel. You're being cruel. You're committing genocide. Most humane, soldiers in the world, and get slaughtered for, no pun intended, for any little thing they do when no one else would even blink an eyelash. But are we violent in general? To be violent? No. There are three things that mark someone who's Jewish. One is that they're Rachmanim, Bashanim, and Gimel Chasadim. They have compassion for others. They do a lot of chesed, a lot of acts of loving kindness with people. They don't get embarrassed easily. Right? Sorry, they get embarrassed easily. Right? But we have compassion for others. We don't want to, we want to help people in many ways. We're not out to, to be violent for violence sake. It can happen if Jews go away from the Torah. Then, yeah, these things don't apply. Then they're no different than non-Jews. Right? So normally, if Jews kill each other, God forbid, let's say, and here in Israel, so usually they're secular. Usually maybe it's crime related, it's mafia related, it's, whatever it may be. But these people are further away from Torah. The closer you are to Torah, I mean, you don't have any issues. A religious neighborhood, let's say, anywhere in Israel, late at night, to walk out, not a problem. Like, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to get mugged by who? There's no crime. I wouldn't leave your doors unlocked, but there's no crime. Seemingly, there's no crime. Very little. And if there is crime, it's probably someone from the outside, right? Or someone that's more problematic, let's say. Well, what's the bottom line? The further you are away from Torah, the more likely you'll be like everybody else. And it used to be, years ago, it came to drug and alcohol abuse. Jews are not big drinkers in general, even though we would say that, you make Kiddush Friday night on, let's say, on wine, or you have some schnapps, wine, scotch, whatever, between, fish and meat, something like that. So we could be a lot worse. But usually we don't show up in those statistics. It's gotten worse, for a lot of different reasons. But in general, statistically, we should never show up on the map. Drinking wise, drugs wise, should never show up on the map. Not even close. And for decades and decades, that was the case. We never showed up on the map. Today's a different issue. Because the further away you go from Torah, the more likely you'll be involved in these things. It's just the way of the world. What distinguishes a Jew from a non-Jew? Torah that they keep. Now that they're better, right? Even the Torah says we're chosen. Chosen means that we keep Torah mitzvahs. That's what we're chosen to do. Not just to eat shrimp or intermarry. We're chosen to keep mitzvahs, to keep Torah. Very good. And if you don't keep Torah and keep mitzvahs, are you any different than a non-Jew just because you have a Jewish soul? No. You're no different. Right? I spoke about this last week. A secular Jew is no better, for sure, is no better than a righteous Gentile. Yeah, they intermarry, they do other things wrong. If there are Orthodox Jews that say, "Oh, a secular Jew is so much better than a righteous non-Jew," and they don't keep Shabbos and they intermarry and all that. I spoke about this last week. They're no better. These Orthodox Jews are wrong. Wouldn't call them Orthodox either. How can you say someone desecrates Shabbos or intermarries is better than a righteous Gentile? It's insane. It's because he has a Jewish soul. Big deal. What's he using it for? Nothing. Yeah, he's using it to be worse than a non-Jew. Okay. So you want to tell me that a righteous Gentile is not better than them? That's racist, right? That 100% we mentioned, right? 100%, that would be racist. I'm not going into that whole thing again, but that's pretty clear. There are red lines. Person intermarries, that's it. It's over. Unless that person converts or the person gets divorced or whatever. There are red lines. Total red lines. You don't believe in those red lines. You go say, "Oh, that person's still better than a righteous non-Jew." You're an idiot. You're a total idiot. Because that's totally not true. Right? That's being racist. That 100% is being racist. Can people in conversion go to the Temple Mount? Why not? You're not Jewish. If you were Jewish, you could. Right? Sorry. let's say better, if you're not Jewish, I'm going to say it backwards. If you're not Jewish, you go up in the Temple Mount. If you're a Jew, you can't go up in the Temple Mount. Because we all, no one knows where to stand anymore, or according to many rabbinic authorities, not really sure. So many ultra-Orthodox rabbis hold you can't go up. A Jew cannot go up on the Temple Mount. Yeah, for various reasons. Now, what about it? What about a non-Jew? In the process of conversion, they haven't converted yet, so they could go up there. That impurity of the Temple Mount, etc., up there does not affect a non-Jew. Even if they're in the process of conversion, won't matter. Will not matter. So they could go up there as a non-Jew. So anyone who wants to come and go up there should go up before you convert. Non-Jews for sure are allowed. That's not a problem. Imagine, I'll tell you like this: if a Jew want to go up there, if a group of Jews want to go up there and pray, who's going to stop them? And the Arabs are going to stop them. Yeah. If they want to go up, if let's say secular American Jews want to go up there or whatever, they're not going to care. They're not going to care because they're not doing anything up there. Yeah, you want to go up and pray there? Oh, that's a provocation against them. Even if the whole thing is a lie, doesn't really matter. The provocation against them, they will do, they'll die for the last one because you're going against their religion, even if the whole thing is a crock. Right? Even, so non-Jews are allowed to go up there. Right? It's not a problem. Even someone who's accepted by a rabbinical court, even if the next day they're going to convert, could they go up there? Yeah. 100% they can go up there. Someone says, I'm not talking about non-Jews, Jews in conversion. I said, if they've converted, they can't do it. If they haven't converted, then what's the difference between them and any other non-Jew? They can go up there. It doesn't matter if you're keeping Torah or mitzvahs, it's irrelevant. The whole point is if you're a Jew or a non-Jew. Can a Jew go up there? No. Can a convert after conversion go up there? No. Can a non-Jew, before they go to the mikveh, go up there? Yes. That's the answer. Right? Someone said that because we're in the conversion process. No, what's the difference? Up until you go to the mikveh, whether you're in the process or not, right? Let's say you're in the process. Very good. Up until you go to the mikveh, if you go to the mikveh in 2 hours, yeah, could you just go to Burger King or McDonald's or any of these straight places and wolf down as much as you could? Would that be a problem? According to anybody, would that be a problem? No. Why wouldn't it be a problem? Because you're not Jewish. You haven't gone into the mikveh. So we say, I don't need to go to the mikveh. It's all rabbinical. It's all this. Bottom line, are you Jewish? No. You haven't done what you need to do to be a Jew. Right? You've done everything else. You haven't gone in front of a beis din. Right? You haven't gone in front of 3 Jews to the mikveh. Up until that point, you can eat shrimp as much as you want. I won't tell people to do it. You could do it, but it's not a problem. Depending where you're holding in the process. Yeah? It's not a problem. And the rabbinical court probably tell you, yeah, you come tomorrow. Come tomorrow to convert. Very good. Right? You go to the mikveh tomorrow. Live it up tonight. Get it all out tonight. Is there anything wrong with that? No. So a person was in Israel right before that. Could they go up to the Temple Mount? Yes. Even if they go in the mikveh tomorrow. Even if they go in the mikveh in 10 minutes. Doesn't matter. Not Jewish. And nothing to do with if you're in the conversion process or not. It's irrelevant. If you're not Jewish, you don't have a problem. There's no spiritual cooties. Right? No spiritual cooties. Not a problem. Not a problem whether you're accepted by a rabbinical court or not. Doesn't matter. That will not matter. They consider a provocation. Right. That's a different issue. Right? That's what I said. The Arabs will consider it a provocation. They'll fight to the end because it goes against their religion. Supposedly, they'll do whatever it takes to stop you. And they'll and they'll kill people and this and that because it goes against their religion. Right? For a non-Jew to go up there is not a problem. Right? Even for Jews, what's the provocation? Not just going up there. That's not necessarily the provocation. Provocation is you want to go up there and pray. That's the provocation. Or if a head of, if a minister in Israel, right? If a minister in Israel goes up there, that's also a provocation, showing that we have control over it. That's what happened second Intifada. How did the second Intifada start? Without getting into politics. Ariel Sharon went up there right before Rosh Hashanah. Show that we have power over the Temple Mount. Very good. So that put a lot of Jews in danger. No question. But again, a non-Jew can go up there. Also depends on why you want to visit Temple Mount. Well, what's the problem? Person wants to go in the mosque. Can a non-Jew go in the mosque? It's not idolatry, right? According to most rabbinic authorities, for sure, it's not idolatry. That wouldn't be a problem. You can even pray there if you have nowhere else to pray. So, you want to go up there. You want to see what's up there. I'm not going to say curiosity killed the cat. It's not a problem. For a Jew, it's a problem. Yeah. For a minister of the government to go up there is a problem. It's a provocation. But for a Jew, what's the provocation? Provocation, not just going up there. So let's secular Jews go up there, right? And they don't necessarily have a problem with that. What do they have a problem with? 10 religious Jews who want to pray there. That's where they have a problem. That goes against their religion. That's a major provocation, right? That's the difference. How does division? What if someone is Jewish but in conversion? They can't be, right? If they're Jewish, then why are they going through conversion? If there's a doubt on their status, yeah, let's say someone's probably Jewish, come in contact with a number of people like this. Let's say they're probably Jewish, but they don't have proof. They don't have proof, they still desecrate Shabbos. Yeah. So if they're Jewish, why are they converted? If there's a doubt on their status, they should go through conversion. Okay, I get it. Very good. Let them go through conversion. Yeah, they'll have to go through conversion because they don't have proof. And what's going to be the proof? Either a marriage certificate, Jewish marriage certificate from mother, grandmother, great grandmother, which they probably can't reproduce, or they can't produce, sorry, or proof being buried in Jewish cemetery 3 to 4 generations. If they have that proof, then it's probably not going to be an issue. If they don't have that proof, then they're not Jewish, right? Conversion for documents, you need community, marriage, kosher food. You're right. But again, even if you had that, you have a community, you have kosher food. All right, marriage is a little more sticky issue, but again, just because the person's married doesn't mean they're Jewish. Yeah. So again, in any case, whether you live in a community, you're keeping kosher, you're keeping the mitzvahs, you're married to someone going the same path or Jewish, let's say, but you yourself are not Jewish yet. According to everybody, you're not Jewish yet. Can you go to the Temple Mount? It doesn't matter. If you're telling me it's a Jew in the conversion process, answer me the question, why are they in the conversion process? Then you have to tell me they don't have documents. They can't prove that they're Jewish. Okay, now, then you can't call them Jewish. In theory, you could say, well, maybe they have Jewish blood, they can't prove it. Okay. But if they can't prove it and there's no evidence, no matter how much they look, they don't have evidence, what's the rabbinical court going to tell you to do? What is the rabbinical court going to tell you to do? You know what the answer is? They are going to tell you to convert. Now, if you don't have the documentation and everything else, is the rabbinical court going to tell you to desecrate Shabbos? Now, if they're convinced 100% you're not Jewish, you don't have the right documents, you will have to desecrate Shabbos. So you're not Jewish. In either case, you're not Jewish. So if that's the case, as we said before, can a non-Jew, even without all the documentation, they might be Jewish or whatever, but they don't have the documentation, can they go up to Temple Mount? What a rabbinical, if I was sitting on a rabbinical court today, this person didn't have documentation. They didn't have genealogy, whatever. They didn't have proof. I confirm my colleagues and we tell them 100% they could go up on the Temple Mount. Would not be an issue. Would not be an issue because either you're Jewish or not. Is DNA test a proof? Nope. Not a proof. Does not prove anything. A question comes up a lot, but we don't hold by it. Someone here mentioned, very good, King David had this great Shabbos. Yeah, because his mother was a Moabite, his great grandmother was a Moabite, right? But it became known that a Moabite woman's allowed to convert. So then that was it. Status was clear. It was a dot. I don't know if he had that's great job. I don't know if that's true. And I don't think that's true. His status was questioned 100%. His status was questioned. Why was it questioned? Because his great grandmother was a Moabite convert. And the Torah says the Moabite can never enter the congregation of Israel. But what was not well known is that oral law, the rabbis tell us, and always talking about a Moabite man, not a woman. So his status was called into question. True. 100% his status was called into question. But until that became known, there wasn't an issue. Once that became known, that was not an issue. So I'd like to see proof, if you have any proof. Yeah, send me a source that says he had desecrated Shabbos. I don't think that's the case. Could be wrong, but I don't think that's the case. His Judaism, his Jewishness was questioned at that time, 100%. The only reason it was questioned was because it wasn't well known that oral law that's only going to a Moabite woman, a Moabite man's not allowed to enter the congregation, not a woman, right? So who says he had desecrated Shabbos? Right? That's why I need oral law over here. That's, we're considered converts by Mount Sinai, but that part of oral law, right, wasn't known. Wasn't so well known, let's say. Since it wasn't so well known, what happens? Once it became well known, there wasn't a question of his status. But who in the world says he had a desecrated Shabbos? Even if it wasn't well known, his status was in question. Okay, to the extent that he had a desecrated Shabbos, I'd like to see it. Yeah, if that's the case, I'd like to see a source on it. If you have a source on it, send it to me. Yeah, very hard to imagine. Yeah, could be wrong. Yeah, I'd like to see the source. How do we have proof when everything was blown up and stuff like that? You're right. That's exactly the point. People don't have proof. They won't have proof. I had someone from father was originally from Nicaragua. Yeah. When Noriega took over, destroyed everything. Yeah. Now, he was known to be Jewish, very good. Right? And the mother wasn't Jewish. Okay. Yeah, the mother wasn't Jewish. But there'd be no way to prove Jewish cemeteries at that point. Why? Because they were all destroyed. During that wartime with Noriega, all these synagogues, all these cemeteries, Jewish cemeteries, totally destroyed. Right? So you have no proof. You wouldn't have any proof that way. In Europe, in Russia, and all these places during the war, for sure, you're gonna have problems proving this. Right? That's why most people, I would tell them, even if they think they have proof or they might have proof, they should go through a conversion anyway to make sure, so they don't have any doubts. You want to make sure you have proof, but a lot of people are never going to be able to bring proof for that. You're right. 100%. A lot of that proof was blown up there or stolen during World War II. Oh, it was stolen, blown up for sure. Yeah. That proof you're not going to have. Yeah. Right. A lot of stuff was stolen during that time, right? A lot of documents and whatever, right? You don't have proof. Right. There, I've come in contact with a few people that probably were Jewish. Probably, were Jewish, but still, they didn't have enough documentation, right? And they were told they'd still have desecrated Shabbos. And even with documentation, I'll tell you like this, even with documentation, I know a rabbinical court today, they won't even look at it. They will not even look at it. I know someone told me a story. Someone brought pages and pages of evidence. And Jewish community, this and that. They didn't even open up the file. They didn't even open up the file to look at it. There's so many, potential problems. So they made them go through conversion. You don't have any live witnesses anyway, just about. That is proof that they were there. Right? It's going to be very rare to find that evidence. So you have to go through conversion anyway, right? Right? That would be the case. Even we know we weren't raised Jewish, there's so much we need to know. It's true. Right? 100% is true. There's so much to know. But again, the question is going to be, if there's ample evidence, if there's enough evidence, then you still have to learn that. No one disagrees. Question's going to be for festivals and Shabbos, you have to break it. That's the question, right? That's essentially the $1 million question. Would you have to break it or not? Right? So, I would say almost every case, they're going to have to do something to break it. You don't have enough proof. I know some people, they keep digging for proof. Forget it. You have to get the knowledge anyway. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You want to keep digging, okay. Whatever, but you have to get the knowledge anyway. It's better to convert anyway. So then you have no doubts. You don't want to have any doubts. That's the problem. You don't want to have any doubts. Yeah. I've heard people that, they're turning over the world to do it. Okay. But you got to learn anyway. The only question would be if you really did find enough proof who you can marry. Right? Yeah, the person going to find out they're really a Kohen. I don't know. Maybe. Depends how far they dig and whatever. But probably, I tend to doubt it. But in my experience, I don't really find that much. Still lacking information. But again, people can take what I say with a grain of salt. They want to dig. They don't want to have that status. They'd rather know that for sure they're a Jew. Why waste time? Okay. You want to look into it, you got to learn this stuff anyway. It doesn't matter. Right? What's the only thing that's going to matter over here? The only thing that's going to matter is your status, who you're going to marry, who you can marry. Again, if you're a non-Jew, you go through conversion. Okay. Right? So you'll be limited. If it's a woman, she can't marry Kohen. Okay, no big deal. Marry just about anybody else. Everyone else you can marry. Good. And if it's a guy, so you can marry whoever he wants. Not going to be an issue. Not going to be an issue. The only question is going to be, say that, that's it. Is that status? Any other status is irrelevant here. It's not going to matter. So you might as well go through conversion. But the person's going to say, I really want to know the status and, I'll turn over the world to find out. Okay, you can do that. Most rabbinical courts going to take that information and say, oh, you're a full-fledged Jew. It depends what evidence you have, but you got to learn this stuff anyway. You want to go through the conversion anyway, solidify your status. Not everyone's going to agree that information is good enough. Not going to be across the board unless it's like really strong, compelling evidence, which most people don't have. So it's not worth it. It's not, you want to be kosher according to some and not others. I wouldn't do that. You're causing your whole status, and if you have kids, it's causing their status also. Kaufman's law, you're going to do it, you do it right. Right? You want to make sure you don't have any issues. Now, there could be issues. 100% there could be issues. Someone, or Adam and Noah, I'd consider non-Jews. Everybody up until giving the Torah Mount Sinai were non-Jews. There's a question: Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and their kids, were they Noahites or non-Jews? Or were they? Noahites were considered Jews, right? So that's the whole question. Gemara says, Abraham kept Torah before it was given, whatever it looked like, etc. But maybe not exactly everything he did. They were considered non-Jews. Adam and Eve were non-Jews, 100%. They were not considered Jews. No one considers them Jews, right? And just about everyone else during that generation, or generations later, until Mount Sinai, were considered non-Jews, considered Noahites, right? At that point, again, some want to learn that some of them may have the status of Jews for different reasons, right? But there's a whole discussion. There's a whole discussion, about that. But Adam and Eve, I don't think anyone disagrees that they were non-Jews. What's the purpose of giving Torah on Mount Sinai? What do you mean, what's the purpose? What are you asking? Yeah. What was the purpose? Giving on Mount Sinai, what's the word Sinai mean? Anyone have any idea what the root is? Shin or sin, Yud, Nun? Or Yud or Shin, sin, Nun, Aleph? Or Sin, Nun, Aleph? Yeah, what does it mean? Hatred. Right? They came to Mount Sinai, brought hatred to the world. Why they bring hatred to the world? Now the non-Jews are complaining. Why they get the Torah? Why they prefer this and that? They had a chance to keep the Torah. right? Avodah Zarah 2b to 3a. You go through it. God gave, everyone an opportunity, total opportunity. They didn't want the Torah. They weren't interested. Very good. Their choice. Their choice. He gave the Torah Mount Sinai to show A, he's God, and he's in charge of the world, and B, revealed it in front of the entire nation, 600,000 men between the ages of 20 and 60, not including women and children, about 3 million people. Now, let me ask you the $1 million question. $1 million question is, name me one other religion did such a thing. Any other religion? Christianity? Nope. Buddhism? Nope. Hinduism? Nope. Islam? Nope. Zoroastrianism? Nope. I don't know. 80,000 other religions. Name me one religion that's duplicated what happened to Mount Sinai. Anybody do it? I'll give you a simple answer. Nope. Like someone said, wow, don't you believe John Smith and he found this Book of Mormon, in the cave, 200 years. I was like, come on, Exodus chapter 19, better than that. Gave Torah in front of 3 million people. What was the purpose of doing that? Show is never going to be replicated. The show, it has to be true. Because God came in front of the entire nation, which no other religion, so-called, has ever made such a claim. Now, you want to ask me a question again? You want to ask me what was the purpose? That was the purpose. One of them. That was one of the purposes. How was Adam and Noah able to be close to Hashem? Because there were certain people that were able to. Certain people wanted this close connection that nobody wanted. I would ask differently. I'd ask the opposite question. Why was anyone close to Hashem? They were closer. They were closer to creation. If they were closer to creation, why weren't more people closer to God and people got involved in idolatry? Like in the time of Enosh. The Rambam says the beginning of the laws of idolatry. The Rambam explains why people went off and why people believed in idolatry and what the pull of idolatry was, which we don't really understand today. Right? It's been much weakened, much weakened today. Okay. So I ask you, how do people get caught up in that foolishness, so to speak, and weren't drawn closer to God? And they were closer to God than when He created the world. If they were, if they were in that world when God created, I mean, imagine God created the world. He knew He knew what He was doing. They rebelled against Him. They killed. They did idolatry. Did all kinds of other things. God wiped out the world. The mind-boggling thing. They were extremely, close in creation. So I would say, what happened to the whole world? Not that you had a few individuals that were close to God. Why wasn't the whole world close to God? Because when the evil inclination took part, now it became part of everyone. Everyone went crazy. Everyone went according to their own ideas. Thought what God wanted. Right? But the whole Western world was cracked. But why should it have been? It's not the question, why do few people draw close to God? That's not the question. Why did everyone else get cracked? Why is the whole world close to Him? And why did God have to destroy it? Because they were bad. And they went off. And they gave in to their evil inclination. And you had a few people that didn't, but the whole world shouldn't have. But that's the power of the evil inclination. Right? That's what happened. It took man away from God. Yeah. Isn't everything His? Yeah, so everything is His. Everyone should be drawn to Him. Everyone has that part of the soul that should be drawn to God. So what happens? It's a fight between body and soul. Body wants to go after the physical. Soul wants to go after the spiritual. Very good. Constant battle throughout life, throughout history. So if we do the mitzvahs, even a non-Jew keeps the no-hide laws, whatever they need to keep, they do what they need to do. Very good. That will elevate the body, elevate the soul. If you go give in your evil inclination, debase the body, debase the soul. It's constant battle. Constant battle. Everything is God's, but He gives us the ability to have free choice. Animals don't have free choice. Animals are programmed DNA. Plants programmed DNA. Everything's programmed, except for man. Now, if we would look into the world, wouldn't it be easy? Wouldn't it be easy to see God's presence in the world? Would be. What's the problem? One of the three things Chosel Vovel says at the end of Shar Cheshbon Nefesh. the end of gate of self-counting, says the Chovos HaLevavos over there, three things takes a person away from seeing God's work in this world. What's one of them? Being beaten down in life. When you get beaten down in life, it's hard to see God, right? So everything's his. Everything belongs to him, right? Abraham came to this conclusion. The world is orderly. Whether the age of 3, the age of 40, doesn't really matter, right? He saw an orderly world. So he came to this conclusion. Very good. And everyone else worshiping idols. Here's Bob. Don't leave home without him. Everyone has their pocket God. Very good. So why don't people see it? Why don't people see it in nature? Why don't people see it in the human body? Why don't people see it in the stars, the moon, and all that? And the fact that the earth, if you get a little bit closer to the sun, we be incinerated. A little bit further away, be like Pluto that flows in frozen tundra. No offense, Pluto's been demoted as a planet. Why don't people see it? Because the inclination doesn't want them to see it. They have an agenda. They want to do what they want to do. The whole world should be able to see it if we lived it right. Right? God wants us to live in his world the way he wants, according to Torah mitzvahs. Why don't people see Torah mitzvahs? Because they don't want to. They're into their own desires, their own base desires. Right? It's all about sports, football, pizza, other things. That's what it's about. They don't care about real life. They don't have real questions. All right, ketchup, mustard, relish on my hot dog. That's their questions. Yeah? So why don't people see it? They don't want to see it. They want to enjoy life. Eat, drink, and be merry. Lest tomorrow I die. Want to enjoy life. What's the purpose of Torah? To enjoy what God wants us to do. To be attached to him. Right? The whole world is his. Right. So how do we tap in? To the Torah. Through prayer. Through mitzvahs. Million things to tap in. Isn't it easy to get distracted? Doesn't the Ramchal say we're in this world and, it's a distracting world? You got to reach a certain point, even a small point, whatever it is, to have a portion of the world to come. Isn't it easy to get distracted? Sure. Is that what God wants? No. But he allows man to do what they want. Right? Within reason. Stop them at some point for certain things, okay. But he's given us the ability to choose either good or bad. That's what he's given us the ability to do. You choose bad, it's your choice. You pay in the end. Right? You pay in the end, so why don't people see it? So people can see the same thing. Why don't they? This person's got an agenda. Because if he sees certain things, what's going to happen? He's going to have to change. He doesn't want to change. Right? That's a simple answer. Someone asked, what are the characteristics of the Kohen? I don't know. You can only, today it doesn't really matter. Because what did the Kohen do? Served in the temple. Right? He gave sacrifices. Taught the people. Today doesn't really mean anything because what they do in this world, right? What status they have in this world? They get called up first to the Torah during the week and on Shabbos, right? If you have something good, let's say you had 3 men, that ate bread, and there's a Kohen there, you let him lead. That's about it. There's certain people you can't marry. Can't marry a divorcee, can't marry a convert, right? But that's about it. We don't, in Israel, he blesses the congregation every day. Outside of Israel, just on the high holy days or on the other festivals, right? But we don't have, that's it. That's pretty much what the status is, is today, right? Aren't they all Jewish priest class ultimately? They are, but again, what's their purpose today? What do they do today? It's not comparable to what they did before because we don't have a temple, right? The majority of them, they served in the temple back in the day, right? Yeah, the Levites who sang, whatever, they're all part of the tribe of Levi, true, but today, it doesn't really mean much. Their status, they have a certain status. They can't, I'm sure it really bothers a lot of them. Can't go to a cemetery, right, or a funeral, or, and there's certain people they can't marry. Okay, but that's about it. Right? It doesn't have really that much relevance today for Kohanim. Even though people think, I should marry Kohen. What's Kohen any different? They don't have, okay, they might have a higher pedigree because God chose them out of all the Jewish people, right? Okay, but more than that, doesn't really mean much today. Except for what we mentioned before. Hashem's not going to force them to follow his laws, Noahide laws. Yeah, he's not going to force them. You're right. He's not going to force them, right? But Noahide laws are universal, so they can't complain. Say, "Oh, I never knew about it." They're universal, right? According to the Torah. Somebody asks, okay, why did you have to give him more and more laws from Adam? Why? Because you want to give us merit, right? It's Gemara at the end of Marcus. Gemara at the end of Marcus says, why did God give so many mitzvahs? Exactly that question. The answer is because he wanted to be Mazak of the Yid, and he wanted to give them more merit. So the more mitzvahs you have, the more merit. More merit you're going to get, but you're going to say, oh, the more mitzvahs you have, you can also transgress. True, right? But you have an opportunity to do a lot of mitzvahs, get a lot of merit, right? That's why he gave it so much, right? Right? That's exactly why I did it, right? For non-Jews, they don't need it, right? For non-Jews, they have the Noahide laws. Again, they're probably about 50 or 60 altogether, just an umbrella, right? Just an umbrella, about 50 or 60, altogether. But I would say a lot of moral imperatives. But again, if God wanted everyone to be Jewish, as I always say, they would be. But they have to follow universal laws according to the Torah. They didn't need all the laws. Now you got to remember also, all the laws correspond to different parts of the body, right? Positive commands, negative commands, right? So they make us who we are. So we have a lot more. Non-Jews don't have that. They want to convert, very good. They don't have to, right? They can have the laws that apply to them. Someone asks, is it sort of frowned upon for a woman to study Torah all the time? You're not going to have time anyway, usually, right? Because they have other obligations. But if you didn't have other obligations, a woman wants to learn. Why shouldn't she? Right? Right? It's more limited in things she can learn. I would say that. To look down for women to teach any of these ideas. Why? Listen, there are some places where women also learn things that they really shouldn't because they're more feminist or whatever. But they'll say they're allowed to and different things. They'll give all kinds of different arguments, but essentially they're doing it because they want to be like men, right? So yeah, so you have a small group. It's not going to be a big group. It's not going to be a big group where women are teaching these ideas, so to speak. Yeah, plenty of women teachers out there, teaching in proper schools that they they have knowledge. Are they learning the same things as men? No, I want to they're learning what they're allowed to learn. They can be experts in Tanakh, Jewish philosophy, other things, certain things are off limits to them. Right. But yeah, are there women that, learn Gemara and teach Gemara and this and that? Yeah. Should they? No. Shouldn't be doing it. The Gemara says it's not good for them to do it, right? So you can always ask the question, if the Gemara says it's not good to do it, why are you doing it? So they'll give you different reasons, but like that's really the bottom line. Oh, men said that. Women would never say that. Like, come on, they have an agenda, right? Most women are learning this stuff. They have an agenda. They want to be more, they're feminists. They're Jewish feminists. If they tell you it's what the law meant and this is what the Rambam meant and blah, 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 blah. They're doing it because they want to be like men. That's bottom line. I'm not saying they don't have intellectual pursuits, intellectual design. I'm not saying that. Right? But usually this wouldn't apply anyway because most women don't have time to learn full time anyway. Because they have families. So building their families is going to take a lot of time. Right? Doesn't mean they shouldn't learn, but they're, and let's say a woman didn't have that obligation. She wanted to learn a lot, she could. 100% she could. Not an issue. Right? But she should only learn what she's allowed to, not more. But again, if a woman, let's say, she won't be married, doesn't have kids to educate, whatever, and she wants to help support her husband, she's not going to have time to learn or learn as much because she's trying to help support her husband. Right? He's got the obligation to learn, not her, but she has to learn what she needs to know for herself. Right? 13 other purposes for different people, different things, right? Is it possible to be Orthodox Jews still go to the beach with their family? Yeah. But it's going to have to be, an isolated part where no one else is around. Right. So, maybe in certain places you'd have to go like really, really early in the morning to do it. Or somewhere it's more isolated. Right. That's the only way. But, it's possible. It is definitely, it's definitely possible. Is it common? I don't know, some people like to go to the beach with, with their family, but again, it can't be a mixed area. So, if you're going to do it, it's going to be more of an isolated place, but it can be done. I'm not saying it can't be done. It can be done. Um, let's see. Oh, the vast majority, if Jews are not interested in keeping any of the mitzvahs. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So what's the difference between Goyim and non-observant Jews in that case? Nothing. I spoke about this last week. Watch my Q&A. Spoke about it. An Orthodox Jew that says a secular Jew, that was the whole point, that a secular Jew is better than a righteous Gentile is a lie, right? That's what I said. Go back and watch the video. I said it over and over. It's a total lie, right? So a secular Jew compared to a non-Jew, is there any difference? Even though they have a higher level soul than a non-Jew, but essentially, is there any difference? They don't keep Torah mitzvahs? No, they have no difference, right? There won't be any difference. I agree. Most secular Jews, yeah, you couldn't tell them between them and non-Jew. Couldn't tell the way they dress, the way they eat, what they do. Can't tell that. You can't tell any difference between them and non-Jews. So you're right. What would be the difference? There is no difference, except the fact that they have a higher level soul. That's the only difference, because their soul is Jewish. But that's it. That's the only difference. Essentially, that's the only difference. Yeah. Any other questions? Maybe they're interested, but they have no possibility to keep. No, there are 13.5 million Jews that don't know the Aleph base. Yeah, and not because they couldn't learn it. That they don't want to learn it. They're not interested in learning it. How do you have 400 kids? Mentioned this story before. 400 kids in Israel that do not know who wrote the book of Tehillim, the book of Psalms, right? Since Rabbi gives them hints, it's David, they all say Ben Gurion. They don't know David HaMelech wrote the book of Psalms. They're ignoramuses. Across the board, most of the Jewish people today are ignoramuses. And a lot of it, majority of it's their own fault. Because they don't want to learn. They're not interested in learning. They've been brainwashed by society. Okay. So their punishment will be less because they don't know anything. They grew up as a potato farmer in Idaho, right? No offense. Anyone's a potato farmer grew up in Idaho. They don't know anything. They never learned anything. So if they never learned anything, right? So we try and reach out to them, but a lot of them are going to be lost. Totally going to be lost, right? Why don't they want to learn anything? Because they have all kinds of misconceptions about it. And they've been brainwashed by society, so they don't want to know about it. Okay. Right? That's their choice. Right? But they're interested? Who says they're interested? I know plenty of people in my own family not interested. Totally not interested. Maybe some are somewhere. Majority of secular Jews don't have anything to do with Judaism. Or Judaism on their own speed. Interested in Judaism? Who? A few, maybe. I'll grant you that. Maybe some. They have Jewish pride to a certain extent. To want to really learn about Judaism? I haven't found too many. Right? I'm not saying there aren't any that don't want to learn. There are some that do. I'm not going to say not. There are some that reach out. They want to learn. They want to know more. Okay. Yeah, the vast majority care less. They went to Hebrew school, had a bar mitzvah, and that's it. If that. They don't want to learn more. Why would they want to learn more? Or have anything to do with it? Somebody grew up more, or say somewhat more traditional, so to speak. And when they get married, they made a big thing. They don't want to have God mentioned at the ceremony. Why do they want to have God mentioned at the ceremony? I mean, I can give you 100 reasons why, but that's not the point. This is someone who's more traditional, family more traditional, went to Jewish camp. I don't know. They went to Jewish camp, not sure on that. One of them went to a Jewish camp. Okay. Still, this person still ended up intermarrying. This other person, okay, didn't intermarry, but they didn't want God mentioned at the ceremony. What does that tell you? They're ignoramuses. Total ignoramuses, not interested in learning anything about Judaism at all. That's the majority. Majority of people I've come in contact with. Now, some of them, are there some people out there that they choose to learn and they want to learn with something? Sure. Is that the majority? Not even close. Not even close. I don't even think it's like 1/4 or 1% of the Jewish people. I don't even think it's close. Yeah. So that's what I would say on that. One second. Let me see. But we can't compare ourselves to any Jew, secular, this and that, or to pray to Hashem what to do. Yeah, but again, these secular Jews, how many of them really want to learn? Really? I don't know how many people want to learn. I haven't counted too many of them. At least you know anything about what to eat with your hot dog. Yeah. Beach supposed to be separate. Again, if you went to a place that's isolated, there's nobody around, could you go there with your family? Yes. Should you go to a separate beach? Yes, but that wasn't the question. The question was, could you go with your family? The answer is yes, if it's more isolated. If the place is isolated, very good. If not, the only separate beaches that exist in the world are in Israel, right? But again, if there was nobody around and you were in an isolated park, could you go there? Yeah, you go with your family. Wouldn't be an issue. If it's more isolated, we're not supposed to go to the beach. You can go to the beach. Just you should go. You should go when there are only women there, right? In Israel, you have separate beaches. Well, it's definitely a benefit. You have separate beaches, right? Men's hours, women's hours, whatever, but it's separate. Plenty of beaches that are not separate. Okay. Person wants to go to the beach, should be done, should be done in a modest way. Men with men, women with women. That's modest. If it makes the problem, your own family could be okay, but can't be in a mixed place. You got to be in a place where it's totally isolated. That's the only way. That'd be the only way. What do I read about Jews not being allowed to go to the beach? I don't know. I'm finding some sources for that. Some would say that you have to give up your life before you do it. It's modest. Makes sense. Women dress the way are, men dress the way are. It's totally modest. I'll give you an example. I have to come up with a source, right? Logic. What would logic tell me? Imagine a person having a dinner party. Let's say, I don't know, 10 couples, 20 people there, 30 people there. And, the person married. So the husband comes down, without wearing a shirt in shorts. His wife comes down in a bikini, right? Anyone see anything wrong with this? Dinner party, other families, mixed. Would you ever see such a thing? You would never see such a thing. You would never see such a thing. It'd be unheard of. Person showing off his wife like that? Oh, you go to the beach to do that? What's the problem? What would be the problem? You do it at the beach, so why not do it at home? Oh, I wouldn't do that. Why not? That's a secular person if you ever do that. And going to the beach, same thing. Same thing. Could you count secular Jews in a minyan? Depends. If they desecrate Shabbos in public, no, you shouldn't. You definitely shouldn't. What if you really need them for a minyan? They're a 10th person. Good question. Good question. Desecrate Shabbos in public, regardless of what they know, you can't count them. So certain prayers you couldn't say. Right? Secular Jews, can you call them up to the Torah? Also a problem. Yeah. Making a blessing in vain. How can they say, God chose me among the nations of acting like non-Jews? A lot of repercussions here. But counting them in is a problem. It's definitely a problem. In some cases, there might be some cases you'd be allowed to, but in a lot of cases, should be forbidden. Should be forbidden. There goes a potato farmer in Idaho, right? Even if they grew up as a potato farmer in Idaho, that does not mean they can be counted, right? Right? They don't study. You're right. But I'm saying, why don't they study? Because they want to study, because they have a whole agenda why they don't want to study. Makes sense, according to them. Yeah, because it's not real for them. They're not living it. Makes sense. Yeah, so it's like trying to start a Jeep with a 9-volt. Forget it. Now, there are people that come back. There are people who actually do want to learn and whatever, but it's not the vast majority by any stretch. Not even close. Then Hashem coerced the Jews accepting the Torah. The Gemara says that was the case. Gemara and Shabbos says, held over their head like a barrel. Said if you held the mountain over there like a barrel. If you keep it, very good. If not, we're going to bury it. So that's why the Jews at the time of Achashverosh, they accepted the Torah with great love, willingly, to make up for that. Are we supposed to enjoy the physical world? Um, you can't get enjoyment from it. You have to know how. You have to know what the limitations are. I'm not saying you have to eat everything that's sour and bitter and and different things. But can a person get carried away with different enjoyment in this world? Sure. You have to yeah, you have to know how. Person needs to chill. They can't they have the head to learn Torah. Okay, so where do you put your head in? Because the more you stick your head in this world, in the physical world, and you do certain things, as much. I'm not saying you have to be an aesthetic, right? But at the same time, it's much harder to be in line with Torah mitzvahs, right? There's always a downside, always a downside. So God wants you to enjoy this world, right? Being intimate with a spouse is a huge thing, but can't abuse it. Eating good food is okay. It's a good thing, but can't be good and can't be an alcoholic. So you have to know how to enjoy it. So, very few people are on the level that's not going to get benefit from this world. But again, everything within reason. Shouldn't have hold the mountain over. That's another explanation. The Gemara says that. Gemara and Shabbos says that. He held the mountain over their head. And he said, if you want to keep the Torah, great. Otherwise, they're going to bury you. That's what the Gemara says. Yeah, that's exactly what the Gemara says. But that got, the whole question why God did that if he gave them free choice. If we accepted the Torah, we accepted God, and he accepted us, why do they have to force us to keep it? Good question. Yeah, but the time of Achashverosh brought down that we got the Torah, we accepted the Torah again. We renewed our acceptance of the Torah with great love, not just God forced us. Well, the Gemara in Shabbos says he forced us. 100%. 100% he forced us. Yeah, any other questions? Boy, guys, keep me on my toes here. Someone says hatred with the shin, yes. Sina with the shin, right? Or with the sin. Or with the sin could be for hatred also. Higher level soul, what does that mean? It means a certain aspects of a non-Jewish soul that are not there that a Jew has. Right? Non-Jews are a disadvantage. They're a disadvantage because if you got to read the book Derech Hashem, the way of God. He sets it out clear. Jews have a higher level soul, right? The mitzvahs do something more for them than non-Jews, right? Because they're giving different aspects of the soul that non-Jews don't have. So non-Jews are at a disadvantage. How does it manifest? I can't answer. It's Kabbalah. Right? How a person, we don't necessarily feel it, but the more mitzvahs a person has, i.e., as a Jew, the more elevated the soul is. Right? Non-Jews only have certain mitzvahs they can do, so they're going to be in a lower level, much lower level because of they're limited. They're limited in what they can do. But again, if a Jew is secular and acts like a non-Jew, then there's no difference, even if they have an elevated soul. Yeah, any other questions? Someone asked, say Torah just a reconstruction of the region. I'm not going to answer that. Yeah, person's unhealthy. Should we not listen to them? Like eat poorly? Yeah. I mean, you have to try and eat healthy. Right, the best of your ability, but I don't mean they're any better than anyone else. Someone told me that the original was lost. Original was lost in the last days of Jeremiah. Whatever. I'm not going to answer that. Yeah. Any other questions? All right. I'm going to stop here. I just every Saturday, 2:30 Eastern time. 9:30 Israel time. Anyone has any questions, you can find me on Facebook at Chaim Kaufman, Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism, orthodoxconversion.com, or Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism on YouTube. There I got videos on the Torah portion of the week, Q&As, Ethics for Our Fathers, Book of Leviticus, etc. Anyone want to send me an email, rabbichaimkaufman@gmail.com, RBBICHIMCOFFMAN @gmail.com, whichever good.